Okay. Hold on, fellas. Just getting some of this administrative stuff out the way. Then we will be good to go. But it's been a good minute. I'm pretty excited. Let's see. Can, I don't know what that's about. But yeah, welcome everyone. We are actually going to be talking about Postmates, how they are going down, what they could have done better when it comes to drivers. And overall, while I think they fell apart in the first place, y'all have shared some mixed comments about that, and I'm gonna talk about that. And I'll also be answering any questions or any Q&As. Well, this is a Q&A too, so if y'all have any questions in terms of delivery, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Postmates, any of them, we're also gonna talk about that. So I'm gonna have to ask y'all, could y'all please smash that like button? It's very much appreciated. Helps the YouTube algorithm get this video out more, and give it a share. That's much appreciated too. While we're waiting for people to come in and get in the room, feel free to drop how y'all are doing today, because hopefully y'all are planning a pretty nice surprise for your mothers. I know Mother's Day is coming up tomorrow. That's why I'm doing this live stream today, because I was going to do it tomorrow, but had to make plans for the mom. All right. Facebook user. There is a instruction on Facebook on how you can just click that link, and then I'll be able to see who you are. Right now, this says a Facebook user. It's basically giving StreamYard permission to share your data. But Elijah, how is a sale of a company a failure? Well, I look at it like this. It can be a success if that was the original intent of the founder, but as far as I know, it wasn't. I mean, um, if you know anything about Postmates, for the past I would say past year, there's been hardly like any activity on it, and I think it's because they didn't adapt the way they should have. So selling out was the hey, let me get something out of this if I'm going to get anything, as opposed to staying competitive and trying to make that business even bigger than it was going to be. So to answer your question, yeah, it may not necessarily be a failure if the founder's intent was to sell it eventually to start with. But I label it a failure because you got these other competitors like Uber, DoorDash, Grubhub. If you want to count Instacart, and I'm not going to count Ship because it's part of Target, but yeah, they're still around and you're not. So you were the first to fall. To me, that's a failure, but that might have been his intent all along. I don't know. Yeah. But I'll go ahead and hop into it. And if y'all have any questions about the apps, all that good stuff, just feel free to drop them. But a few ways I think that Postmates was kind of dropping the ball. I know for a while, the companies were hiding the drop-off location, and they were hiding how much you could, the total amount you would get paid. Now, all the companies, even Uber Eats, adapted and started showing you the drop-off, but Postmates still had this funny thing where they wouldn't show you your tips. I think that hurt the integrity of the service. You got to think about it. When you take an order, it's a gamble. And if that gamble turns out unfavorable, like the customer didn't tip, you're going to feel kind of cheated, and it's going to make you hesitant to take another Postmates delivery. And a personal story. I took a delivery from Postmates. It was this woman that ordered a few things from a 7-Eleven and cigarettes. So I took it. I made about $4.27. And she was nice and everything, but I wouldn't find out if she tipped till the next day. So I looked at my app the next day, no tip. I'm like, well, I would have never took that in the first place if I knew she wasn't going to tip. Keep in mind, it wasn't like crazy far away, but they didn't keep up with the industry standard. The industry standard was, hey, you got to let everyone know how much you're going to be making and how far it is and where the drop off is. And if Uber Eats isn't careful, they're going to get in trouble about this too. But because right now Uber Eats has it so that you see an estimated tip, but that's how much the person has put in before they started ordering. I mean, once they place the order, they can tip you. They can also change that up to an hour after the order is completed, which is cool if they're going to give you a little more, but they can also decrease the tip. And I think that's a stupid notion. You should just be able to just add more. Like decreasing the tip is stupid. That shouldn't even be an option. Let's see. We got a few questions in here. Elijah, how old are you? Personal question. I'm about 29. All right. Oh, I've been okay with the Postmates delivery so far on Uber Eats for sure. Um, that's a good question. So, like, have you actually gotten a delivery on Uber Eats and it said it was Postmates? Like, has that happened to you? If yeah, could you share that? Because that would be pretty. They said sometime in May, but they haven't formally announced it. Give a little background of what's going on for those of y'all that are just now joining. Sometime towards the latter part of last year, Uber bought Postmates for $2.65 billion, if memory serves me correctly. And they didn't really make it known what they're gonna do with it. They probably just thought, hey, it was for sale. Let me go ahead and grab it. And in my I'm thinking they did it just to eliminate a competitor and take over market share, which is fine. But some people were thinking like, hey, they're still going to be having two separate services. They'll just be under the same umbrella, and that's not what happened. They're gobbling up Postmates the same way that DoorDash gobbled up Caviar. When DoorDash acquired Caviar for the next like 6 months, everything was running the same, but it gradually started getting moved over to DoorDash. Now it's to the point where on the customer app, customers order off of Caviar, and it basically looks like the DoorDash app, and it says that your Dasher's on the way and all that good stuff. And on the driver's side, if you try and sign up for Caviar, it just redirects you to sign up with DoorDash. That's basically what Uber is doing to Postmates based on what I'm seeing. Let's see. I have had at least a dozen of them, ranging from $9 to $13. Cool, cool. Okay. So when the delivery pops up, does it let you know like this is a Postmates delivery, or does it just look like a standard Uber Eats delivery? That'd be pretty interesting to find out. Get share that. Be greatly appreciated. Get a swig of water real quick. But ladies and gents, exactly how do y'all feel Postmates could have adapted to the competition better, and how could they have kept your business? Because if we're being honest, what really hurt them, there's a few things, but we're just talking about drivers here. I know a lot of drivers that just it wasn't appealing to turn the Postmates app on. They started losing market share, which was bad enough because there's not enough deliveries, but it couldn't hurt to have the app like just running in the background. And if something comes through, it makes sense, you go ahead and take it. But now you have like Uber Eats and DoorDash, and they're showing you all this money from every trip. And then you have the option to take this Postmates delivery, which is just a question mark. You see the drop off, which is good, but you don't know how much the customer tipped. And let's be honest, the money in this industry is made off of the tips. How much these companies pay a lot of times isn't worth it unless they have a quest or a boost or some kind of promotion going on. Let's see. Oh no, this is interesting. It says Postmates in the description and also it's also indicative because of first and last name. Wow. Yeah, because I know for a fact that Uber Eats is they may have at some point, but they don't show the last name. I think probably because Uber Eats started out with customers not tipping, and that was kind of what they prided themselves on. And if you kept getting the same person over and over again, like let's say John Smith, and you know they wouldn't tip, back then you didn't see the drop off for how much it's going to be. You might just say, hey, I'm just going to put them on the do not do business list because I'm tired of wasting my time and I know I'm not going to get tips. So they removed that last name pretty fast, and people probably start doing that. Okay. I didn't catch how to turn my identity. And Elijah, sorry about that. This is Ramen Scott from San Diego. So are you in the sign up process? Okay. Let me turn this off real quick. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, are you somewhere in the sign up process and they're having trouble accepting your ID? Like, what's going on with that? Okay. Send me a link. I will be a great guest right now. 3,500 deliveries and follow your videos. Oh, you want to hop on the stream? You know what? I think that can be arranged. I am still a noob when it comes to StreamYard, but I could probably figure it out real quick. In the meantime, we'll take a look at getting you on probably in 10 or 15 minutes once I figure out how to do so. It's probably not that hard though. But in the meantime, fellas, this is a general Q&A, so if you have any questions about DoorDash, about Uber Eats, about Postmates, about the direction of the channel, feel free to drop them and we will address them. But I'm really intrigued about these Postmates. I'm a StreamYard expert. Okay, maybe you'll need to give me a few tips. I'm intrigued by these Postmates deliveries that's popping up on Uber Eats. Like someone asked a great question on the video I posted. They asked, the Uber Eats tried to do the whole like you go in the store and when you go in the store you pay like with an Uber Eats card, which means you got to wait. They'll pay like a little higher wait time. Like Uber Eats has always been the you go there and just pick the food up. They tried to branch off into that area and it didn't work out too well. So they stopped. I don't know if they completely shut it down, but they did stop, at least in my area. Someone asked, will Postmates actually like these deliveries? Will they keep that faction and just kind of outsource it to Postmates? So anytime you go to order from a restaurant that's not partnered with Uber Eats, you can go and pay with a Postmates debit card and all that stuff. That would be an interesting way of integrating it. It all comes down to can they make it worth it for the drivers? Because in most cases, it's not going to be worth it unless the customer is going to be tipping a lot. If they're tipping a lot, that's cool. If they are not tipping, that's when we got a problem. All right, so we're gonna drop the link on the StreamYard link. We'll see if we can take a few guests on here. I need to get my earplugs. Y'all excuse me real quick. Okay. Say great videos, very much appreciated. So y'all bear with me real quick. I'm just getting the caller set up. Then we'll join us live. Okay, so I've dropped the link. Feel free to chime in, and we're gonna hear you guys' thoughts because I find it very intriguing. Overall, I do think this is a bad thing. I don't know if y'all can still hear me because I'm changing the audio source, or I could see myself. I don't know if y'all can still hear me. Yeah, I'm good. Okay. But I think it's a bad thing because we need more companies. The more companies we have fighting over us, overall, the better it's going to be. So let's see. All right.
Hi, Elijah.
What's up?
Oh, man, I can barely hear you now all of a sudden, but thanks for taking my quick invite there. I invited myself to your show, but I'm a big fan of yours and appreciate kind of guided me along. I'm a veteran of 3,500 trips out here in San Diego. You know what? I kind of went to Uber Eats, got back into my old profession, said, you know what? I'm going to go back to Uber Eats. And Prop 22's made it kind of interesting out here. Maybe we could talk about that too. But yeah, 3,500 trips, and I have my app on right now, but not much was happening. I was doing some work on the computer and saw you coming on live and said, actually, I saw your tease yesterday that you were going to be on. I didn't think to come on. Apologize there. But once I saw you were on, I said, I'm going to ask Elijah first about what I said. You said Postmates failure, and I agree with you to a certain point what you were saying. That the company didn't look like it was doing that well, but is it really a failure if they are able to sell their company? I guess what you said is yes, from the company perspective, yes, maybe from a user perspective. I mean, that's why we like Uber Eats and I don't know, even DoorDash are number two, I guess.
Definitely. And when it comes to the vision of the CEO, I'm not sure what his original vision was. It could have been to build this big company up and then eventually sell it. If that's the case, then he succeeded. Like more props to him. But I will admit it does kind of hurt. I really love these companies to be fighting over us drivers. So the more there are, the better it is. So like you got DoorDash throwing out these promotions. It's not good enough. Uber Eats is throwing them out, and then Grubhub starts throwing it out. It kind of has a balance. And when one player exits the market, it's kind of like ah. But it is what it is.
Well, no doubt. And what we're seeing right now, I mean, it's kind of been a topic in the news about the labor and how Uber's kind of saying, hey, we need more drivers on the passenger side now of our business. We think we're short drivers and we're offering more bonuses on that end to the passenger drivers. People kind of went to delivery a little bit, maybe in the pandemic when passengers weren't needed. I think I'm an Uber Eats only driver at this point. I started off with passengers way back maybe 4 or 5 years ago when I first started doing it. But since then, it's, straight deliveries for at least 3,000 of the deliveries. I only have a couple of hundred passenger deliveries way back when now. But I think as people migrated towards delivery, there's a certain ease of use compared to delivering passengers, I think, right? So we get that comfortability. We know we can knock them out. I stay in the same little corridor in my area, north of one freeway, kind of just a couple of cities over, cherry picking, right? I know that's a topic that's real hot with a lot of the Uber Eats YouTubers, cherry picking. And to me, it's a great strategy. It's what you need to do to be successful.
Definitely. I got to hit you with this question. What made you go exclusively with just deliveries only and kind of put rideshare on the back end?
Well, maybe I'm coming across as a boisterous personality, but I'm kind of reclusive and shy. I don't know if once I know someone, maybe I'm talking to you fast because I see all your videos. I feel like I know you. But I don't know if I want people, to deal with as many people. But also, I think the ease of use. I mean, we talk about cherry picking our offers and getting the offers that we want that are worth our time. But man, how many times is it the ease of use getting in and out of the restaurant just as much as how many miles per dollar you're going to travel? Sometimes now with our alert on Uber Eats, you're like, okay, that's one of my good restaurants. I can do this type of delivery in that time. Sometimes you see it, maybe it's a good offer, but you're like, I'm be waiting on the lobby. I'm gonna be waiting in the lobby 5 or 10 minutes. So that comes into question as well. So everyone has their own strategy, but as more and more people, I think, came to the Uber Eats side, saw that maybe they could run their business a little bit more effectively than with passengers, I think.
Yeah, I can respect that. Plus, I can tell you definitely peeked out the Uber Eats course, so I can hear it in your voice.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. There are several out there now that I like, and I don't know why, but I just like the ones that kind of do the drive-alongs. Maybe not all of them, but a couple of them I do watch, and I just because I like to get a feel, and I'll just kind of skip through them. I mean, I'm not going to sit through a long one, but you were the first. You were the
Like
first, Elijah. You were there when I was like going to sit down, and I decided. I said, I'm a poker dealer by trade for the last 15 years. I kind of went back to it for a couple of years, and right at the height of the pandemic, I kind of got out of it, thinking that maybe during the pandemic, I don't want to be sitting with 10 people right close to me, even though casinos turned out to do a really good job in the pandemic because mostly they have a higher clientele to a certain extent, and they have a lot of cleaning utensils. They have a lot of cleaning devices. So casinos actually did quite well in the pandemic, but I left at that time and went back to Uber Eats. And I can remember back at the beginning of the pandemic when we felt like we were the essential workers for a week or two there. We were the only guys out on the road.
You know, I'm not saying I'm endorsing the circumstances that brought that about, but let's just call it for what it is. Like the streets were barren, and it's kind of like a driver's paradise.
Those 2 weeks were so bizarre to a certain extent. I mean, all the workers, were doing their job and just analyzing each establishment that you went into, seeing how they treated the protocols, considering where we are now, and for as bad a rap sometimes as restaurants got, you could see the difference between people who took it seriously, did a great job, and those that didn't and were kind of left, not getting I thought the business. I thought the ones that did a better job, I seemed to frequent better. It kind of revolutionized, re-revolutionized delivery, even though it's a business that's kind of in its infancy. When we
Right.
went through that stretch of going from normal life to pandemic delivery life, all the restaurants kind of revamped their situation. Kind of all ended up like Chipotle's to a certain extent, more and more with the bags out there ready to go rather than having to get in line and kind of be in the same line sometimes at some of the establishments with walk-up customers.
Right, right. You know, it a lot of these restaurants took these delivery apps for granted. They signed up to say, okay, so we have this another stream of income, and it is what it is. This put the spotlight on exactly making it the most efficient you can possible, while it, while making sure you got the protocols in place, which means you actually have to sit down and think about how this is going to play out. So I actually noticed that restaurants were actually starting to get, despite the protocols, they were actually getting faster because they had to sit down and actually create a system as opposed to like, oh, we're on the app, so we just kind of wing it. I mean, I saw restaurants come up with like protocols where their employees were bringing out meals. You didn't have to get out the car. Where like places that, like you said, they didn't even have a designated place to pick up orders. Now it's like Chipotle. We just go in and look at the name and you just pick it up. Things got a lot more efficient. I think that part is actually here to stay for the better. So at least one good thing came out of all this. If I had to say something about it.
Well, the thing I love about it is I like making decisions, right? We all succeed or fail kind of based on our decisions. So when you look at that ping, it seems like it's just a basic thing, but you should immediately be ready at that point. I mean, I understand that there are people who, grab their app, go out there for the day, drive pretty much to the nearest destination, maybe don't analyze it as closely. I spend, man, maybe too much time. I work on the computer mostly. I'm a journalist, so a sports journalist out here. And what I like to do is just kind of work on the computer, keep my app to the side when I get a run that's good for me. I don't even get off my butt without double digits, okay?
Oh, I
And
love
then
that.
get on the road, knock out a couple of hours, come back, maybe get some work done, grab some lunch, turn it on again, watch some ball games, and maybe not the best lifestyle, but it's the app lifestyle.
Oh, definitely. In fact, but where you're at, I would love for more people to get there because you've developed a trade or a skill, and now you're using these apps when it's convenient for you. And you might have used these apps as like a footstool to develop that trade or skill. You might have already had it, but the point is like, if these apps are kind of lacking, like for whatever reason people aren't tipping, you're in a position where like you're not forced to take these like $5 deliveries that are going like 10 miles or something. It's just not worth it that day. I'm more I can use that time to write another article or do something like that. You have a trade, and I would love for. I'm really looking forward to getting more people on both sides of the coin. I think these apps are great to use, but you should have that trade where you can utilize too, because I think that's the ultimate form of leverage. Because let's be honest, these a perfect example is like Prop 22. A lot of people I've talked to, they're not in favor of the employee thing, but let's say if it was to happen one day, well, something that's changed in the gig economy you don't too much care for. You're not 1099 anymore. How tax is going to look? It's like, well, it's a good run while I had it. I had my trade. Let's go make money with that. You're not in a position where you're just, you know, I don't, I like people to have choices too. I'll sum it up like that.
Yeah. As far as Prop 22, and I've tried to analyze it as best I can with how, it works and how the actual percentage, whatever. It doesn't, it's not for me to figure out, right? I guess I just roll with it. But mine came in this week, $143. It comes in every 2 weeks. So it's been quite interesting since that's come on line. And certainly there were plenty of drivers out here that were on both sides of the fence. Um, I think as someone who is supposed to be, and I don't know, I'm still kind of winging it to a certain extent. I should take all of my expenses in running my delivery company more seriously, I guess, than I should. But again, I'm kind of just transitioning to where I feel like it's a sustainable thing to do. So the numbers look good to me as far as Prop 22, and I'm willing to accept the sacrifices. There's, to this point, what are they really? I mean, there's all the panic buttons that were set where they're going to dictate your time. That's why I don't even like to do a DoorDash. I want to turn it on when I want to do it, right? I want to do it when I want to do it. So that's why it still works for me. And the Prop 22 money, has been pretty good, I must say. It's definitely ranging for me between 100, 200 every 2 weeks. I don't know how I get there. Elijah, people, you're never going to try to break it down in this lifestyle into hourly wage. It just doesn't make sense. But if you are dividing the number of hours between pings divided by into the number of money you make, I just can't go back to working for somebody like that. I mean, the numbers are really, really good. I mean, you're not going to sit there and make YouTube videos with thumbnails $30 or $40 an hour. We know that there are other things involved. You're not making that much. I mean, yes, you have the write-offs. That's a nice wash too. But there are the expenses of your car, and what is the valuable time to you? Like I said, some people might want to turn it on, go out there, take the jobs that are available, and that's going to lower your per hour rate. When look, we've done it before. We've just taken almost everything we can, $3, $5, $6, $7, $4, just to pound it out, which is fine. When you really are in a pinch, you want to get it done, your hourly is going to be lower than if you're totally cherry picking. It might be unfair. I don't know if I'm being fair, but when I look at my online time for this week, Elijah, this is Saturday, and I'm approaching 60 hours, and I have 10 hours of drive time. Am I being unfair to Uber? Am I being unfair to the customers, or being unfair to myself? I don't know.
Well, I put it like this: in the contracting world, everything is, I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. All parties need to be set up so that everything works out in their favor. But with that being said, it's actually not it's not our responsibility. That ultimately is going to fall on the arranging parties and who's responsible for putting them together, and that's going to be Uber, DoorDash, etc. So, like, if they're not making it worth our while, then we have every right to pass on it, because not only will their competitors potentially do it, but they're also competing with whatever else we got going on, our family, our friends. Some of us have a relationship to balance. Some of us have something else we're building on the side. So they have to make it worth our while. And, they also got to make it worth it for the customers too. So there's a science to mastering that. I think it is getting better, but as long as they keep making improvement, that's all I can ask for.
Yeah, in fact, I've been actually disappointed the last couple of days, because it seemed like for a couple of weeks it was really cooking, and maybe it's just my area. And, we had Cinco de Mayo, and they send out a thing to be ready for Mother's Day. And actually, I've been kind of dead today. I've only went out a couple times, and I've declined a few too. But you're right, what you're saying, because I think what we have, right, is a marketplace, right? And so it's naive of Uber Eats customers to order and not make that tip in advance, right? If they really knew how it works, right? If they're not going to put the tip on, they're getting passed along, right? They're getting passed along from one guy to another until they find that someone that, like I described, that's either out to knock them out, or obviously we will reduce we will reduce our requirements when we're already on the road in proximity to the pickup restaurant and things like that. And we make that decision in our mind. But if you're a customer and you want fast service, when you're calling a courier, you're not looking for someone to come with a napkin over their arm, right, and give you a silver platter. You're looking for someone to get it there quickly, efficiently, and effectively. And I know when I'm sitting here at home and I get say I get a McD for $6 and it's, my familiar lady that always gets it in the morning. I'm like, okay, I'll just, take my time. I know it's McD. There might be a line. Okay, whatever. But when I get that, $17 pizza delivery at 5:30, just for a couple miles away, I'm like, I'm hurrying on this. Even if I have to get there and wait, I want to do a great job for this person. And maybe it reflects in my post salutation to them on the app, and I'll, do a voice or whatever, type it in or do the voice. I know you like to have the pre-programmed ones. I'm not good with technology. I'm old, man, but I'll recite it. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Throw some extra things along the way, and sometimes that's when you see that great message that we all like that says they threw an extra tip on there for you. Nice, right?
Indeed. And like the thing with especially with Uber Eats, after a while, if order's been floating out there too long, usually over 30 or 35 minutes, then Uber will start bumping up the price. And eventually they'll bump it up to the point to where like it does make sense for a driver, but that could be an hour later. So
Okay, I got a question for you then, Elijah. When I first turned, now I'm a night owl too. One of the things I kind of do when I'm working on some of my stories, I'm up in the middle of the night and I'll do Jack in the box runs because they go, I don't know if you know this, but they'll be, and in fact, I might even mention, maybe this will trigger your mind a little bit. Maybe from a year or two ago, I used to type in the chat, I'm a late night driver and I like to drive in the middle of the night. But what do you think about this? When you first turn on the app and you get a ping right away, do you sometimes think, unless it's obviously a good money offer and you don't maybe care that it's been passed along, but do you ever think that first offer or two right away has been one that's stalling along a little bit, that the customer might have been waiting?
Sometimes, especially night driving, because I got two answers. There's pandemic night driving, where I can pretty much guarantee you that's the case. And then there's before the pandemic, where it might have been, not sure, not really a way of gauging it beforehand, and that's what kind of sucks, because if they added a tip, then it's gonna show under the expected tip. If they didn't add anything, Uber will eventually bump it up, but you don't have any real way of telling until like you complete the delivery. Say, oh, they didn't tip, but Uber Eats gave the bonus.
Yeah. I also was wondering, sometimes I hear you talk about certain things and how how the platform varies from region to region. I always found to be somewhat interesting. And I know, but you talk about like Prop 22. Sometimes the laws are different and the rates are going to be different. So there has to be certain differences within the platform. But I always thought that was kind of interesting too. For example, I know that some people have. I don't know if they do. Maybe you can help me with this. I've seen Uber Eats Delivery Pro. Is that really a thing? Or because a couple of weeks ago, I got a notice that said, it looks like you do more deliveries than passenger pickups. Of course, I'm like, duh, right? I've only done 3,000 consecutive deliveries since my last passenger. You've just now noticed this, but I'm not going to bag on these guys. I mean, I love Dara. I love Uber. So when I finally get the thing, it says, be ready in your mailbox next Monday for Uber Eats Delivery Pro. I waited. A week came, didn't see it. I figured, I see sometimes they say something, it takes even extra time. Never came around. Then all of a sudden I'm looking for that message in my inbox and it's like disappeared. So is there an Uber Eats Delivery Pro? I don't want to go back out on the road to build up my 4.77 to 4.85, Elijah. I'm sure it'd be real easy to do that, but I don't want it.
Well, I know for a while there was a Uber Pro, and I think that stayed consistent, but they've scaled it back. But when they tried this, and when I say Uber Pro, that's what it was called. Later, they came out with this Uber Eats Pro, which was meant for Uber Eats only drivers. And based on what I saw, it was like a repeat of the same thing, but with less options. The only difference is I've actually seen people with the Uber Pro getting things. Now, note that those things weren't of real value if you ask me, the drivers, but I guess that's another discussion altogether. I never saw anyone getting like these Uber Eats Pro perks, so it makes me think that the whole thing was in beta. Then they decided it wasn't worth it, and now they're trying to bring it back. Because I think it's honestly a cop out. What drivers want to see, they want to see a rate increase or more consistent promotions. Like basically, it's revolved around money. All this other stuff, we don't care. It's like they're doing it for the good PR, but do drivers really care about that? In most cases, no.
Well, even I was, reluctant maybe to at first because of losing a full-time job and not really sure if I was going to try to go back into the casino business, but Uber works for me so well. And I said, you know what, I finally got to, in order to get the benefits from Uber, sign up for my independent, just like I should, like an independent contractor, sign up for my own insurance. I mean, it seems like a basic thing, but those things you take for granted, when you have a job. I mean, I've been someone who had been employed, pretty much my entire life. So finally, just converting it over and then sending the stuff to Uber. So you get and I'm still waiting. It hasn't been, you have to wait a time frame before you get the first money from Uber to help with the health benefits. But I think the company is a very, very fair. I'm real happy. I'm grateful. Elijah, for the Uber Eats app because it allows me to do just like you always preach. Do what I want, when I want, and make the time my own. And so right now, this is what we're doing.
Right, right. Everyone, don't forget, y'all are free to drop your questions if you have any. And I got a quick question for you. So, like, are you familiar with Postmates at all?
Yeah. Oh, let's get into that. Thank you, and thanks for this time. I don't want to take up if we get off the theme, but I kind of wanted to talk to you before actually. Yeah. So I mentioned to you on the Facebook chat about the Postmates. That was me, and so when the ping comes across, it will actually say right in the same spot where you see the name. When we're in Uber, of course, we see the first name and the initial. Well, on the Postmates rings, and it must be that Postmates, you're in the Dallas area, the DFW area,
Yep.
still, right? I'm in San Diego. So maybe, when you talk about the failure of one company, Dallas is huge, obviously. So I would think that Postmates would had some ground there, and San Diego's pretty big too. But that we know that merger took place, that purchase took place a little bit, quite a while ago.
Yeah.
4 or 5 months, I don't know, but only within the last couple of weeks have I really seen the orders come across. It seemed like I got 1 or 2 for a week, but then all of a sudden, like maybe they're merging. I don't know how they have to take the Postmates app and probably somehow is merging. They're still opening. People are still opening Postmates, making their order, and then it's going to Uber Eats. So when I get the ping, it says, like Postmates, if you've done Postmates, and I haven't, but I saw it right away, it says their first and their last name. Awkward that they do it like that, but I guess that's how Postmates does. And then in parentheses, it would say Postmates. Now, when I would go to, most of these have come from McD, I would say at least 50% of them. When I'd go to McDonald's, you know how at McDonald's they always want you to give them the code. They're the only place really that does the code out here. Usually it's name, right? But McDonald's, has a random 5-digit letter alphanumeric code. The Postmates is just PST with a 3-digit number. And those have increased dramatically over the last 2 weeks. And I think, I don't think that I'm seeing an increase of the tip from the patron. I think Uber's putting the money on, because what I've actually seen is once I get that Postmates offer, and I've said they're between $9 and $13, at least the ones I've taken. Maybe I've swiped no and I'm not seeing smaller ones because I haven't accepted it. It doesn't say it until you accept it. That's for sure. Just like the name, right? But once I take it, and I've gotten that 9 to 13 range. I see it's a Postmates. I'm like, oh, that's so interesting that it's a Postmates, and it's a good trip. It's another, $11. And okay, it's in the next town, but like I said, it's in my corridor. It's over, if it's well over $1 a mile, it's cool with me. So I take it, and on some of them, unlike the Uber Eats, when we our tip, sometimes we know sometimes when we're going to get an extra couple dollars, right? We had a good interaction. They
Right.
talked to us for a second, and something
They
happened in that good, something good, right? But these, they didn't seem, because, here's one other interesting fact. When the Postmates order would come through the Uber Eats, it would say every time, wait in car. Well, we know that that's hardly the norm now. It's or what is it? 1 out of 20 now is maybe wait in car. It's always deliver to door, maybe
meet at door.
15% meet at car, but rarely is it meet at door, but rarely does it come to the car anymore.
Hmm.
All of them said wait in car. After the first 4 or 5, when I would text and say, you have wait in car, and do you prefer door delivery? And they would say, oh, yes, oh, yes. Finally, I was able to interact with one of the Postmates customers. And I said, oh, it says wait in car. Mind if I ask you, because all of them say wait in car. Do you have that preference? And they say, no, Postmates usually just. So it almost seems like Uber made a mistake in making every Postmates conversion just put wait in car in there as a default. Because now I've seen it where it says wait in car, and then the instructions from the person might say, leave it on the bench next to the door. So I'm no, they didn't. They're not meeting at the car. So the other thing was on the Postmates now. So after that $10, $13, whatever, I've noticed a far higher percentage of tips coming in after that delivery, more so than our Uber extra tip, which maybe what comes in, I'm sure the girls get a little bit more, but our extra one comes in maybe one out of every 10 or 15 deliveries. Some will throw on extra $5, maybe even $10, something good, right? But these Postmates had a much higher percentage, almost maybe 1 in 4 would have an extra tip on there, and a nice tip too. $5, I would say on average. So I would say in the past 2 or 3 weeks that I have gotten, I said about a dozen, but I would say it's more closer to 20.
That actually kind of makes sense because they said they're going to be moving over the drivers from Postmates to Uber Eats sometime in May. But usually they always move the customers or like arrange for like orders to get sent to the other app ahead of time. So like you said, it's been going on for a few weeks. So that means this probably started in the middle of April, which would make sense. But I guess they didn't configure it right because no one is coming to the car. Definitely, like everyone that heard that, y'all should probably program a standard message in your phone if y'all want to call them. Basically, asking like if you get one of these deliveries, hey, my name is such and such. I'm your driver. Do you want to meet me somewhere, or do you want me to deliver it to your door? And like they were gonna say, oh, can you deliver it to the door? The reason I still put that, do you want to meet me somewhere? Because you might bump into someone, they'll meet you, and obviously that probably be quicker.
Yeah,
But go ahead.
and while I would almost recommend that, I would recommend that everyone do that every time to try to follow it to the letter. And I think it's something we always see little nooks and crannies of little errors in the app that, we see, God, I wish I could tell somebody. And it eventually does get, it seems like, wow, they fixed it. If they would have only known sooner, right? We could have told them. But I think when it comes down to the uh, driver portion of the Postmates, and I do have some concerns there, but so many multi-app, and because of the volume, if you agree, I don't think that, I don't know if that was what you were kind of posing your statement as well about the drivers kind of coming over. But, and again, like I said, it's been kind of slow. I'm a little disappointed this weekend, but I don't know if it might be negligible as far as the amount of impact on Uber Eats drivers, I think.
Well, what's happening according to what they said? Because this is what they said in their email, and they're incentivizing like Postmates drivers, like giving them an extra. If you complete a certain amount of deliveries, you're going to get an extra $100 or something. They're moving them over to the Uber Eats app, so it's not like you're doing both apps. It's like, hey, this app is going to be gone soon, so if you want to keep delivering, you need to sign up for Uber.
Yeah.
And with that being the case, this is actually a great segue into this question. I had a Postmates account and now they want me to transfer to Uber Eats, but Uber Eats fired me last summer. This is a great question. And I don't want to butcher your name. I'm gonna call you by your last name.
Ambrosia, I'm sure, Elijah.
Ambrosia. Appreciate it. I actually don't know how this is gonna play out, but I suspect they'll probably give you a clean slate because it probably wouldn't look good if they didn't. Here's what I mean by that. I actually have a friend. He got deactivated from like driving Uber when they first came out. He was making like $500-600 a week for like 5 months straight. Customer said some dumb stuff. He was deactivated, and this was before like certain protocols were, I guess they hadn't changed that much, but they've gotten a little better with it. I'll say that. He was deactivated. So I told him about Uber Eats. I met him like a year or two later, and he was strictly about Postmates and sometimes DoorDash. I told him about Uber Eats. He's like, well, I don't know if I can get on with them because etc. I told him like, well, I've heard of people that got fired back in the day. They kind of scrapped that. So like, just apply and see what happens. He applied and he got approved, and everything was like normal. And he was actually able to do rideshare too, in addition to Uber Eats. So it's like the firing never happened. I suspect they'll probably do that in this case because that could be a likely scenario for a lot of people. And I'm curious if they sent you that same email, kind of baiting you to move over to Uber Eats. Like if you could elaborate on that, we could probably get a little clarity. But I wouldn't worry too much. I would probably assume you'd be okay. But if you're not okay, hey, I'm preaching abundance mindset. They're not the only game in town. You got DoorDash, you got Grubhub, you got Instacart, in addition to other ways outside the gig economy to make money. So if they do say that you can't get back on, there are other options, and feel free to reach out to me. I can help you with that.
I'm pretty I'm a one track mind. Only recently have I kind of thought about maybe doing some DoorDash, but like I said, I think that they give you those blocks, right? That time block, and
It's so stupid.
I don't want that. I
That
don't want that. Yeah, stuck. I'm stuck doing this. It's great. It's great.
Well, even though I preach having a backup app, I still have the same mentality I've had for years. I know a lot of people do a lot of multi-app and have like 3 or 4 apps on at a time. I've always preached pick one, master it, make the most amount of money with that app, and you're gonna pretty much be good to go. But have a backup app lined up. I still preach that, and for me, obviously, it was Uber Eats. So just so people know, I haven't strayed too far away from my roots. I said if you're gonna put time into something else, it should be something outside the gig economy. Be a photographer, a graphic designer. If you have skills with that with the lawnmower, maybe you can cut people's yards, and then you have something else outside the gig economy. Trust me, it feels a lot better to have a skill set outside of it and inside of it.
Yeah, well, that's just it. I like to think I have a lot of skills myself, but maybe I'm just a drive-through professional.
Well, I would definitely second that. But hey, you got skills writing apparently, and you could take that and do blogging or do freelance writing.
Oh
And
yeah, no, Elijah, I'll tell you. Let's not get off the topic. I've been right, covering sports for over 30 years, so that's my thing to do, and that's kind of I think what I'm known for out here. But I kind of wanted to dabble into some of these. I like these YouTube blogs that I see with the drivers that are going around. Some of them I like your style. Some of them are a little outrageous. I like that lady in New Jersey. I can't think of all their names, but I do watch them. I'd shout them out if I came prepared to be on your show. In fact, I didn't mean to necessarily just invite myself. So if you wanted to cover that topic that you wanted to, I could continue to go on that. I feel fortunate to have your time right now, and I'm sure I could come up with some more things that I wish I had notes because I do have things that I want to ask you. I just need to kind of be triggered.
hmm. Well, yeah, we'll probably be going for probably another 20 minutes. So yeah, if you're free to hang out, we can definitely talk about it. But it's interesting you mentioned that because the vlog style content, I've actually been looking at branching off into that because one thing I noticed about these gig channels, I want to keep my uniqueness, but I am going to expand into the other apps if people want me to, like the DoorDash, the Instacart, etc. but I don't want to be just like the rest of the rest of the gig channels. So I'm actually looking at doing the vlogging style, but actually using my personal finance background to break down all the expenses, what I'm actually making, and how you can get on top. And like for instance, I'm getting ready to probably buy a cash car, a cheap cash car for like $2,000, and then keep track of all the expenses on a spreadsheet and show people like, hey, if you get a cheap cash car, you'll pay it off within about a month or two, and then all the money you make will be yours to keep. And let's say if something goes wrong within like a year and a half or two, you can just trade. You literally just trade that cash car for another one, and repeat the process. That way, you're not worrying about like, oh man, I'm depreciating my vehicle and all that. That's just a way to handle it. I don't see anyone else doing that, and I really want the personal finance side to be expressed too, because I don't see anyone covering that.
It's as far as what I did, I kind of fell into the right position at my age in the car that I had, and I was happy with this car, and I paid it off, and so I'm like, now I can just drive it and make the money, and it's still in pretty good. It's a 2015 uh, Ford SUV. It doesn't have the best mileage. I could even do better probably right now, but I'm just driving it till I guess till it's done. As far as the people doing their vlog, if you watch a few, if you type in the YouTube search, like Uber Eats drivers, it's easy to find. There are a dime a dozen saying how much I make on Uber Eats in one day. A lot of times it's that person says I'm going to do it for one time and make a vlog about it. It's the ones that have a number of videos that you're more apt to trust on, how much that they're making, that they're making, and those are the ones that I like. The ride-alongs, when they show their pickups and everything. It's kind of weird because, you can't show a customer necessarily, but I've thought about, and Elijah, you had to think about this, man. Like when you're standing there and watching a comedy at a fast food joint, and you're like, man, if I could just take my tripod and my phone right here and aim it at these people and like narrate this. I mean, I see my bag sitting right there, all sealed up and ready to go, and these people are walking around. There's a guy who doesn't know what he's doing, standing at the cash register. There's no customers. And I'm like, this is hilarity. I should go live, an Uber Eats live vlog, and see how inept sometimes. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I am so thankful for all those workers. I mean, how many times you go into a place, one of your regular places, and you got two or three special people where that's your guy or that's your gal that you need to expedite your Uber Eats order. I mean, I can just yesterday going into a packed McD, walking by everybody. It's a lobby's packed. They're just starting to have some customers in the lobby, and I walk right up to the pickup side, and there's still people around. And I have an Uber Eats hat, but I saw my regular guys in there, and I got in and out, and only one person got their order out of all those people ahead of me. Now, maybe it was timing too, but still, you want to create those relationships. People going in to the restaurant and giving any semblance of a hard time to someone is just looking for trouble down the road. You gotta kind of kiss up to them. You want to treat everyone with respect. Sometimes you could see when people are inept and not able to even do simple jobs that maybe we couldn't do if we got in there too, because things are going on, people are being crazy, but just be respectful and thankful. I'm one of those guys that kind of hangs in the back and tries to make eye contact, and then once I get my opportunity to get right to the place that I want to be, straight, direct, and firm, exactly what I need, with that order or whatever. Because I follow it to the letter. I know there's some people that want to go to a McD and will go the drive-through. The instruction says kind of go inside, and if you need to use the drive-through, if you prefer it, you can. But sometimes that drive-through 6 or 7 cars, and no one's in the lobby. You just got to go in there, and sometimes you get the service because you've created the one-on-one relationships that you need with your fast food people.
Definitely. And you said something that's a tactic I've used from day one, but you said you're wearing an Uber Eats cap, which makes you very easily identifiable. Like back in the day, I was wearing an Uber shirt. Like I see all these drivers just sitting there just waiting. And I didn't even know if they had been served yet. But I just walk in with the Uber, like, oh, so what's your order? It's like it's kind of like hitting them on a subconscious level because they're already working hard and stuff. And then it's like it clicks. Oh wait, they're from Uber. Oh, let me take care of them real quick. And you didn't even have to say anything, as opposed to interrupting their routine. Like, hey, I'm from Uber Eats. I've been here for 5 minutes. Like, you have this order. Like, oh, like their default reaction is, oh, it'll be a minute, as opposed to doing something more subtle and pretty effective where they actually come to you.
I'm pretty submissive. Even if I see guests that I know are dining in, I'll kind of, if they're coming in and I'm kind of waiting still to get their attention, I'm not going to need the register. So a lot of times if a guest comes in wanting to order and I haven't been acknowledged or helped, I will say to them, be my guest, be my guest. I'll work with this. I will get it done. One way or another. I don't need to be in front of you, cut in front of you. And drivers, will, cut their place sometimes in front of me, but I don't worry about it because I feel like the slow and steady, kind of wins the race. I wear my hat to cover this dome, Elijah. That's what it is. I mean, if I'd have known I was coming on, I would have smashed my hair down. I'm hiding it in this building over here. The beautiful skyline of San Diego out here.
Okay. It that may be the intent, but it has an added bonus apparently, which ends up getting you out of the restaurant much faster.
No. It was one of the first purchases that I made. I mean, when I really decided I was going to do it, and I watched all my app lifestyle video. What were we called though? Forgive me. What were we called before the app lifestyle?
The Uber lifestyle.
Was that what it was? And I watched all my Elijah videos. I got my bag, but you know what? I kind of got them from some friends. I got a Postmates carry bag. I've got a Grubhub pizza bag. I've got the Uber Eats. I've got it all there and available. And I don't know. Here we are on the app lifestyle tips for the viewers, right? Maybe some people take it as seriously as I do. I've got just accumulated items, right? Elijah, from trips to extra cup holders, right? Sometimes you need to double that thing up. When they give you one and you got two larges, I got to take one of my extra and make it a double so I can carry it and do it. Hey, a six. Elijah, quick. What do you think? Starbucks, $6, 3 miles.
Well, it's probably beverages and it's $2 per mile. I would probably pass.
I would actually not do it at this time, not just because I'm on with you. I'll decline it. But again, I might need double digits to get up off of my chair. And this Starbucks by my house, I wish they were better. And I'm thankful. I think a lot of Uber Eats drivers do not like the Starbucks trip. I think probably because of the amounts. You're raising your hand. Yeah. I actually had just kind of prioritized the ones in my area, which ones I feel good. I talked about getting in and out sometimes as much as important as destination and final amount. I mean, that's the ultimate, but still knowing when you have to wait. My closest Starbucks right now, they've got about a 5 on my 1 to 10 list, while the one over in the next town is probably like a 7 or an 8.
Well, I'm not gonna speak for all of them, but I do feel like Starbucks is a modern day McDonald's. Y'all know back in the day when I started the app lifestyle, I would kind of crap on McDonald's because they were so capricious and took a while. They gotten a lot better, but I feel like Starbucks is a modern McDonald's, and a lot of times, even there's some exceptions, but a lot of times they don't be tipping. Like I see why. Like the coffee's already cost like $5 or $10. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be tipping your driver.
Yeah. Starbucks to me, though, is something where, like, close proximity, you're in range already, you're in that area. This one is not, like, you might have, that was a 3.1 mile trip, and the Starbucks is probably, I think it's 1.1 miles. So, that wasn't a far trip at all. If I was on the road driving close to here, that would be one that I'd probably, at this time, on a Saturday at 150 here, it's 350 there. There's a McD for 5. I'm going to turn this off. Sorry, baby. McD for 5 miles for $5. That's an ixnay. An ixnay. But
you want to do what you can get away for. You want to do what you can get away with in your market. If you can get away with like $3 or $4 per mile, double digits, then that's what you're going to take.
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, I was, not being flippant. Am I cheating the system by, cherry picking like I do? Like I said, it does take all day sometimes to accumulate the money you need, but I'm able to do everything that I need to do without setting aside a certain block. And like I said, there's just a corridor here, over one city and my town, and I'll kind of travel south to the next town, but I really won't go much further than that. I mean, that's what I feel is the most profitable for me. Sometimes, you hate when okay, now you got me thinking about all these things, but how about when you're just about to complete that delivery, but you need your navigation, and here it comes. How about now? How about now? How about now? And you want to assess the next delivery, but you really need your navigation. You got to make a quick decision. You got to exit out. I need my navigation. How about now? How about now? So what do you think about Uber's delivery of the next? Now, some people I know like to turn it off, but I really want to keep rolling, right? If I'm not going to multi-app, I want to keep rolling. A lot of times you're able to make the quick assessment on the next trip while you're making that delivery. But every once in a while, it seems like that's aggravating you a little bit.
Oh, I do find it aggravating. And it's kind of like a nerves thing because you're already like doing something and it just like enters your spirits. Like, oh, it's a little aggravating. But I'm actually not the biggest fan of Uber's feature on that. The reason being is it might be different in California, but as it stands, the next trip that's coming up, like if you're on your way to drop off your current delivery, then the next one pops up. They don't show the drop off location for that next delivery.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna call bullshit on that. I mean, straight up, because when I gave them, I defended them when they first came out with the feature. Maybe it's beta testing, but it's been like what, a year. They don't have any intention of doing it, and I'm gonna compare them to these other apps. Uh, I'm not the biggest fan of DoorDash sometimes, but at least if they do the same thing, a separate screen is gonna show like the map and where the drop off is. They're not doing that, and as it stands, I decline all of them because I want to know what I'm getting into. Like mainly because I look at like, okay, where's the area? Am I going to be going to an apartment building, into an apartment, to a house? Like I take all that into consideration, and that's how I divide up like the final price in my head. So
Yeah.
like a delivery that's going to a house is going to be faster and easier, so I'd be willing to take it for a little less money. But if it's going to an apartment building, which potentially has me going to the 30th floor, elevators and stuff, that needs to be put in the equation too.
Yeah.
If they're not going to show me like what I'm getting into, I just always decline all that. And sometimes the money might actually be good, but I want to know what I've been spoiled. I want to know what I'm walking into in this in totality.
Yeah. Okay. No, I would say that I'm probably only maybe I'll say 1 in 5 acceptance, maybe higher. I don't know, maybe 40% acceptance rate. But I will say this: I always at least feel confident. Now, I agree with you. Sometimes we don't know, and I'm in an area of a pretty good uh, contingent apartments to the south of me. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I'm in an area personally. It's called Lakeside, right? It's a more rural area, but just to the south is a pretty dense area. So I think I'm able to make a decision. And that's why I kind of said at the end there when I make the, and I'm like, dang, I shouldn't have taken that one. And I have gotten into that plenty of times, right? Maybe once a day, even where I know I can handle it, but it's not perfect. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that I try to make the spontaneous decision if I can make that trip, the money's good, and it does give it the miles and the
Yeah.
the pickup. I know, so that's again when I talk about pickup criteria, uh, that makes me feel comfortable too. So I wouldn't say I'm a 0% acceptance on that. I appreciate what you're saying on that though, but
Now,
maybe just
I say
logistically
that.
for me it works okay.
Now I say that, but one day could happen where they offer so much money. Before I knew it, I accepted it. And I didn't even think about it. If they do that, that could happen.
Sure. In fact,
Because it wouldn't matter the situation. I know I'm going to come out on top because it's like $15 or $20. So why does it matter? Just go ahead and take it.
Yeah. In fact, here's the thing, and I saw this week, and I'm in one of the. If anybody watches this, and I know we got some live, and people go back and watch yours too. All week, of course. So, if anybody's seeing this from my area in San Diego, I'm in a Facebook chat. I don't know exactly. You can probably type it in the search. Uber Eats San Diego drivers, something like that. So I like to interact in there. And one of the comments that I did see this week were, and maybe it's a result of some of the Postmates. I don't think I've seen an extra order on the Postmates, so I can't say this to be sure, but more complaints this week than usual of the tacking on the double orders and how they are appropriated. Are we getting a good order, a regular order with a good tip, and a regular order with no tip? And how do people know? And like, you almost always know when it's a double if you look closely, but sometimes, you hit it quickly, you didn't know, and I'm like, oh, darn, I didn't see that. I got one the other day, was a sombrero, very popular Mexican food out here, sombreros. Hey, Elijah, you're going to come here someday and have the world famous San Diego Mexican food, okay? We got sombreros. I picked that up, and I go to, swipe out for delivery. It says, second delivery, it's on, next delivery within walking distance. Place was two doors down the deli. I'm like, well, it worked out. This one's okay. I screwed up, but there it is, 2 doors down. But a lot of complaints about how they thought they were not getting the right offer. It's easy to me, divide it by 2. So I'm not worried about which one's tipping. You don't know. But you just want to make sure. And, you can see you can see the delivery points. To me, sometimes that thing comes up and, it's got 2 pickups and 2 deliveries, and it looks like it's got 5 or 6 points on there, man.
You know what? I don't think that's exclusive to San Diego. I've bumped into that in my local market too. I've seen an increase in the double orders. Now I'm starting to wonder if the whole Postmates thing has anything to do with that.
Well, like I said, I thought I think I mentioned that just off the cuff because I think for me it would say in there, it might say the little Postmates in parentheses like the other ones that I've gotten. But I did notice, just like the people had said, maybe an increase, and I was declining them. I was pretty much declining them unless I felt really great about the 2. I like one. I like just doing 1. But if the 2 makes sense, I don't mind doing 2, especially if it's the pickup is at one location. So,
yeah. Or like one of my no policies is if the first pickup is going to be an apartment building and the second pickup is somewhere else, I don't do that because apartment buildings have the most likelihood of something going wrong and something taking longer. You got to remember the second person is just watching you on the app, getting impatient. It's like, it's one of those situations where I know what I'm walking into, and like I haven't had this happen yet, but I have heard about it. People complain about like the customer like withdraws their tip within that hour frame after they complete the delivery. I've never had it happen personally, but I wouldn't want to create the environment where that could happen.
yeah, I could see that. I watched. Hey, give me some credit on this one. I watched you just the other day on a show with a gentleman. Did just some disrespect. I mean, this is Elijah. You've seen him. You've seen his T-shirts. Okay, the app lifestyle. He said, Elijah, delivery professional, delivery pro. Was your, but I understood where he was coming from. I mean, you have a ton of experience in this, and he was interviewing you about this, and he had asked you, and I think you had made it clear on the answer, but when the delivery, let me see if I can word this right. When the delivery is completed, okay, now I want to get this right, Elijah, because there's some confusion that happens for me when I'm done with the delivery. And for example, here, okay, let me start on this. Do you ever get this problem? Uploading the photo, we're waiting for the photo to upload. I got to tell these people their food are here, and I'm waiting for I just cancel it out, and I'm like, sorry, the photo didn't upload. Do you ever get that? I have another question, but go ahead.
I don't get the photo hasn't uploaded, but I do get often Uber interrupts the uploading by sending me another delivery. which doesn't help. Like, cause like when that happens, then I will get an error like saying it didn't upload, but it's usually because it's getting interrupted by another delivery, which I don't even know why they don't set it up so that when you're taking the photo and it's uploading, you can't get another delivery.
That's what I
Like,
meant as well. Right. Like I'm trying to type the message, the request comes in, and it takes me back to the screen. Fortunately, I think now it does save the message. The message seems to be in there. So
you know, what I that was becoming a big problem. I probably should make a video about this, but what I started doing, I started sending the message before I took the picture, and then you know where it says delivered and it has the box saying where you left it. I actually just leave that blank because I text them like, "Hey, I left it here as instructed, etc. Thank you for ordering for Uber Eats." Because like, if I type in that message, even if I just paste it in it, if the message was already done and I just paste it, I'm adding like a half a second to a second. And for whatever reason, another delivery always interrupts me. If I just take the picture, that's usually when I don't get interrupted, or it's less likely. I don't feel like I should have to do that, but that's kind of it is what it is.
Elijah, what's your position on you've always mentioned your correspondence with customers, but how frequently are you giving an OTW message, for example, or any communication prior? Are you 100% guy, one tech, or only if there's trouble or maybe a familiar customer you're going to?
Well, I'm not really the person they'll like be messaging them on the way and stuff because I feel like the app. I'll say this depends on the app. I'm an Uber Eats customer, so I'm pretty familiar with the experience as a customer. And Uber is one of those apps that does a pretty decent job at notifying the customer every step of the way. Like, hey, your food's been picked up, they're on the way. Then they see the car heading to you, and then when you're about half a mile away, it reminds them like, hey, your driver's almost here, etc. It actually does a lot of that for you. Now, other apps like I'm not mentioning names, DoorDash, they do a crappy job at that. Sometimes it gets shot, sometimes it doesn't. Like there's a video that went viral of this guy that was he the customer took the DoorDash order and he is complaining to the driver, look, you were stopped for like 5 minutes. He's like, well, I had another delivery. Well, let me just say this. DoorDash lets us know when you have another delivery. I didn't get a like a notification that hey, look, that's DoorDash's problem, okay? And that's very typical. So if you're dealing with an app like that, it might be in your best interest to do that. But even still, I still don't. It's kind of like it's putting too much energy into it, in my opinion. So yeah.
That's what I wanted to get at. Okay, sorry about that. I was confused. So uh, the other delivery. That's what I wanted to ask you, and that's what you were talking about with that gentleman last week on his show. When you were on your first delivery, you say that second person does not get any kind of. Do you just does your car just appear on the screen as soon as I am done with point A? We know McDonald's is way down here. I'm going to point B way over there. I'm point A right here. All of a sudden, did I appear to my customer at point B out of nowhere right here at point A, 2 miles away from that McDonald's? They didn't follow me here.
Used to. Nowadays, they can see you from the moment you take the delivery. The moment you accept, your car appears on there, and they see everything.
But what about a prompt for this driver has two delivery? Did you make that clear in that interview? Or does this
Uh,
driver has another delivery? You said, you talk about limiting your correspondence. I agree. I don't want the driver necessarily. If he gives an OTW, that's fine. I don't need any. I'm expecting right here. Mine says leave on the air conditioner. It should be there. After I get the message, I better walk out. My pizza better be there. But when when we do it right, I want this guy to know. I mean, I don't want him to look like I'm an idiot driving, 2 miles south when he's a mile north.
well, oh man, yeah. Now we're getting into the hacks that I know I haven't been as present on this channel because I've been putting a lot of energy into my other channel, Financial Anatomy. But some content is coming back on this channel. It's going to be amazing. But the answer to that, the way it works is that they see everything, but most of these apps, including Uber Eats, won't let the customer know that you have another order. The only exception is sometimes on the customer app, there'll be a little timer when they're ordering saying like, hey, if you're willing to wait longer, you can share a carrier, so they'll have to make another delivery first, and they'll get a discount for that. So sometimes that's the case, and they're kind of expecting that, but a lot of times it's not the case because I've actually talked to a driver like pre-pandemic and maybe even to some degree now. When I order Uber Eats, you always chop it up with the drivers. And like if I suspect they have a double order, I ask them, "Hey, did you have a double order?" Like, "Oh, you had to drop someone's order off before I got to you," and I didn't select that discount. It wasn't even an option. So that tells me that, well, they're not letting the customer know. So
Right.
my solution to that, so these apps have a forced stop, and I go into the settings on the Uber app because I use Waze for my navigation. As soon as I pick up the food, I just force stop it, and then I drive to the first location. And once I'm dropping the food off, obviously I open the Uber app back up so I can take the picture, etc. But that has the effect of me appearing on the other side of the map or whatever. And then they only see me heading towards them. They don't see me like going out of my way where they're probably going to get annoyed.
Well,
That's
that's Elijah. He's a pro. That's for professionals only, right there. Hey, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna turn back the clock? We never get any free food anymore ever since it's been delivered to door. We used to get free food every week. Never now.
yeah, well, yeah, that's true. I mean,
Hey, you ain't out here in 8 minutes, man. I've got myself a California burrito at 2 a.m. You passed out drunk, that's your loss.
and that was more typical back in the day too.
Yeah,
But now
that was
nowadays,
pre-pandemic.
yeah, we'll just deliver at the door. Then okay, we'll just leave it at the door. It's like it is what it is.
They used to come out to us, right? And in the early days of the pandemic, people were reaching for their food in the window like this.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah. Oh, yo, it's been a minute since I've seen you. How you been? It's
I thought I
actually
heard somebody. Like I said, I'm a StreamYard expert. I thought I heard someone actually buzz in to join us.
um I haven't seen anyone in the
Oh,
queue the
okay.
whole
Have there
time.
been any other questions, Elijah? I'd love to take some questions with you. I hope you'll invite me on again.
Well, I'm actually looking at doing these live streams on a monthly basis again. So yeah, I would love that. But there
I
aren't
feel
any.
like I feel like an expert. I participate in those forums, and I kind of have a ton of questions, but for you, but also in those forums. But you know what? Sometimes when you're dealing in more of a public forum, like on your forums, you're a moderator, so you got a good handle. You're answering everybody. On that one, even though there's some mods, put one or two things, and there's half of the answers are going to be sarcastic anyways. I mean, just because someone says, "Is it slow tonight?" You don't have to go on a diatribe about why don't you get out there and drive. Maybe it is slow. Maybe the person needs some confidence, to get out there or whatever. You see some people with some questions that, to me, it seemed like no brainers. But you know what? I'd like to help people do this a little better. You talk about what we go through and what I don't know. I'm not back. Look at the pandemic. The essential drivers that we were. Like I said, I mean, we risked our lives. We were saving lives one delivery at a time. A year ago. But
Right.
a lot of times you see a drive, with a poor attitude in front of you, and you're just like, why do we have to be like that? Rushing these people. They're just doing their jobs, and we need them. Look, it looks to me like when we go in there, people look at the driver, look, let's face it. I'm sorry to all of our viewers. We're kind of down upon in a way. But I look at it as if, what? I feel like we know the numbers. I feel like I'm making more than everybody in this restaurant, maybe sans the manager and the fast food. But I mean, the private places do better. But
Mhm.
these people are worried about $15 an hour. And, look at the problems that restaurants are having all of a sudden. This is the big news story this past week, right? They can't even get restaurants staffed right now because the unemployment benefits are too good in this country. So I think that if you're gonna wrap me up, I mean, that kind of brings it back full circle to what you were saying about, you know what, we are a little bit at a pretty good commodity. The app delivery drivers are a bit of a commodity. We think there's a glut. We might think there's a glut. We're not getting any pings or whatever. But I think you can go out there, and I think anybody can go out there and get it pretty easy.
Right. I got a quick question for you as a StreamYard expert. Then I'll hang around for 10 more minutes and I have to go. But if someone's trying to join, does it make like a doom da doom sound?
No, that's why I heard about like just 2 or 3 minutes ago. It's just a little tiny dook. It's like bloop.
Okay, because I don't see anyone in the queue.
Okay, so maybe it was something else was dinging. So I had first gotten involved with StreamYard. I like to bet. I like to bet on games. I'm sitting here with 8 TVs. I've got a bunch of games on right now. I'm gambling. I'm a hustler. Okay, so but I like to do shows about. I mostly do shows about high school athletics, and I actually bring the student athletes on with a partner of mine. We interview them, talk about their accomplishments, and this technology. I've been doing reporting on youth sports in addition to my poker dealing and other jobs I've had. Restaurant manager too back in the day, so I like to think I have some experience in restaurant. That's what kind of interests me in Uber Eats. But I almost wanted to get away from doing some of the reporting. But the technology has brought me back. Technology like this, and I've even taken, this is where I got the idea. I'll let you answer your viewer's question here. I'll just describe this. I've actually gone out now and done a show. Like, we had a pandemic delayed football season. It turned out to be a really big deal. The football season was delayed out here. I know Texas, they got it on. They're never going to delay football in Texas, Elijah. But here we didn't start football until March. And so with this StreamYard, what I did was I took my phone out there for the first time, and I have a press pass. I can get right on the field, right in the back of the end zone. I can walk the field, and I took a tripod on my phone, and I would like cover the game live on StreamYard. And when the guy would come right into the end zone, he'd run right up to the I'm not a celebrity, but I mean the kids know who I am. I'm interviewing them all. I do shows like predicting who's going to win the games and things like that. Runs right into the end zone, and this StreamYard technology kind of triggered me on that. Maybe I could do like a live Uber Eats vlog and show these people working in this restaurant trying to get my order going. So
I say go for
what's Lynn saying? This is the area that I need help in, and I need to go back and review my app lifestyle course because I need to do a better job getting all of my and it helps. I think the tax companies have done a good job integrating the stuff with the Uber Eats, making it quite easy. But I could do a way better job managing my delivery business.
Yeah, no, just to read Lynn's comment. We get a taste of your own business. You don't want to go back to W-2. Oh, man, I couldn't agree more. And for everyone that's listening, I actually did a live stream with one of my contacts. His name is Kamari Ellis, where we talk about tax deductions that you can use to run your gig economy business so you don't give all your money back to Uncle Sam. So I'll be sure to link that in the description. That's a great resource y'all can take advantage of. But sadly enough, like the school system doesn't prepare us for things like that. So we can't fault people for not knowing how to do it. No. I mean, just straight up.
No, that's if anything, you didn't get, and I'm 52, so I'm going back, certainly a generation or two before you, and especially now. I mean, especially given the way distance learning, you got. I don't want to say this is going to be the lost generation, Elijah. I'm talking about the kids right now, and I'm seeing a lot of it because of what I do. But the kids right now that are, seniors in high school that just graduated, there's a big concern for what they have learned over the last, year and a half to 2 years. How much has this, set them back? And what we really need to start doing is teaching real facts out there about, life and living and learning. I mean, it's one thing to go back and we know there's going to be controversies now in the textbooks considering the wokeness on every side. I mean, you can't hardly open a school book that's over, a school book, because there's so much is done on the computer now and things like that. But the books that I used to go into the library, half of them are banned now. So uh, anyway, I digress on that. Look at this. You've got fans all over. What our prayers go to India, right? I mean, they're going
Yeah,
through
definitely.
terrible time right now with COVID. And look, I mean, as far as the pandemic went down, I'm not a denier. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. Uber made it very easy for anyone that wanted to go and get their shot now. I mean, out here, Elijah, there's no waiting. I mean, anybody can go. So let's start to live our lives a little bit. Let me not have to take that. I will be respectful. I am the first to put on a mask whenever I go and I interact with somebody. But the shots are available to anybody now. Let's start to open. Let's be more free. Let's not have to take that picture with our mask on anymore. The shots available to anybody out there. We should be able. Look, when
I
we
think
get
that's
to
something that's
when we
slowly
get to
becoming better.
November, when we get to December, maybe we will, as a whole, just start to cover up a little bit, because that's the season when transmissible aerosol diseases take effect. It could happen again. There could be new variants, whatever. But man, let's take advantage of this right now. Sure, there's tragedy out there still, and we're praying for those other countries that are having problems. But when you're talking about a percentage right now that really is negligible as far as the true impact, we just wanted to protect the overrun of the hospitals. We don't want anybody to get sick, but we just wanted to protect a mass pandemic from breaking out. Right now, let's just be open, be manageable, man. The hospitals are not overrun. We're sorry there's 100 or 200 people have to go in there every day, but people are not dying at the rates they were. The healthcare professionals are doing a tremendous job. It's the system that kind of let us down. I'm sorry. This is your app lifestyle show. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no, we're about to wrap up, but I'll sum it up with his comment right here. I get sick of 9 to 5s. App lifestyle works well. Feels like you have more free time and not working as such. Hey, you know what? If I'm gonna be honest, the app lifestyle, when you're driving and delivering food or even it doesn't really feel like working. Like delivering food feels like I like to drive, so I'm gonna maybe I have a bias, but it feels fun. Feels like an opportunity to learn some new skill sets with audiobook. Even rideshare back in the day, that's an opportunity to network with people, maybe expand and learn some things, or you don't know who's in the back of your car. You could have someone that could be a business partner or a customer, etc. And oh, Lynn has a question, and we'll close out. I had 1099 part time since 2007. I got an accountant to handle the taxes. Did them last year. It took me 8 hours.
Ooh,
It's not a question, but more so a comment.
I
Uh,
wanted 8 minutes. I wanted 8 minutes.
right? Yeah, definitely. So,
I need to, what would you say, Elijah? Would you say that the expenses, what, gasoline is the biggest, is going to be the biggest write off, right? I mean, would you say it? Would you tell average Joe, especially with all the YouTube videos out there that try to break it down, would you just tell them it is a wash, or would you tell them you're going to spend 10% of every dollar you make on expenses after taxes? Could you, do
oh,
you think you could? Every place is different, I know. And hey, I'm in California. I mean, we're in trouble. We just had our population go down for the first time ever. People are leaving.
yeah, that was a trend late last year. It's still going on. But this is what's inspiring me to bring that personal finance energy to the channel, because I do feel like a lot of these people that, well, they're partly doing it for views. Let's be honest, but they'll take the scenario of being a gig worker and break down why it's not going to work and all this. Look, guys, I'm living proof that this stuff works. I mean, my Mitsubishi Mirage 2015, it didn't disappear. It's still out there. Y'all see me making videos in it. And you can do this stuff part time while you launch something else, or you can do it full time and use the method that I just mentioned. You could buy a cash car, or you can just have another skill on the side that you use to make money too. I mean, what they're talking about, they just show the negative side if you do it incorrectly. and that exists, but they're not going to show the positive side. Why? Because they didn't get their butts in the car and actually enter the gig economy. They're just giving an opinion for views. This is something that infuriates me. That's why I want to show the other side of showing you how to do this stuff right, and how you can really come out on the other side with another business, or making money, or just having fun. That's my brief tangent. I'm not gonna spoil what's coming up soon, but yeah, that's my view on it. And in terms of what's the biggest, I would say it's probably gonna be. It depends on if you're gonna go with the standard mileage deduction or the actual expense method. If it's the standard mileage, which most people are gonna use, it varies, but every year it's around like 58 to 56 cents per mile that you can deduct for all the miles that you're driving while you're delivering. That's a big tax deduction. And if you're not going to use the standard mile, it probably is going to be gas, or potentially, if you're financing your car, the interest on your car payments. Maybe it depends on which one. But I will say, for legal purposes, I'm not a tax professional. Be sure to consult one. But just from experience, yeah. And be sure to check out that interview I did with Kamari, because he actually is an enrolled agent, and I grilled his brain to break all this stuff down. Even though I just told you, I'm not a professional.
I hate it. I mean, you know what? What do I got? I got a week. I go. I'm going to send in an extension. I'm going to do it. It's easy. You get the invite every day. Here's we got another comment from her. Let's see what she said.
Mileage helped me with tax credits, murdering my car, but there's always a trade-off. That's true.
Well, right. I mean, if you have your car because you love your car, I mean, you've said this a million times. I mean, you're maybe not the best. I mean, you should have a car that this is my one car, but it's my business, right? I don't need I don't have a family. I'm not going for a night on the town. I just need to go to the next sporting event and drive my deliveries, right? So that's my job, and it's paid off. So I'm happy if I can get some miles out of it, put some repairs on it, whatever I need. I'm satisfied for now. So,
and I will say this: don't underestimate doing delivery on a bike or a scooter or something. If it makes sense, that's something to think about. I have a friend that's making like $20 an hour on a bike, and he's making his own channel soon. He's breaking down like the whole details of how you do it, and it's like, hey, that's something to consider. Now, in that moment, in that particular case, you can't use the standard mileage deduction, but there are plenty of other deductions you can use, and you can't beat getting a workout in while you're making money. I'm sorry, but I'm never going to undervalue that.
Yeah, and I'm never going to drive in downtown making deliveries, so someone has to be there to make all those downtown deliveries. I mean, boy, now you talk about you learning your first lesson, right? I mean, what was I thinking back then? Why did I ever take those downtown deliveries? What was I thinking, What an idiot. You're looking back on it. I mean, so someone's doing them.
Right, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to crap on downtown completely, but until they make it worth the while. But for those bike carriers, they have different rates. So it actually does make sense for them a lot of times. So,
yeah, everyone makes fun of it, saying like, who's going to get food delivered by a bike, and it still but it's set up so that you still get a good delivery. They limit them right to those areas that they're achievable. And I've changed my name down there, if you don't mind, to reflect my Twitter handle. If anybody'd like to follow me, I don't tweet about Uber Eats, but sports and stuff. But if you wanted to have any questions of me, Elijah's a pro. We go to him. But if you have any Uber Eats questions of me, I could try to answer them too, because I have 3,500 deliveries. Elijah, how's that stack up?
Hey, you know what? I haven't actually done the percentages, but you're definitely probably in the top 20% of all Uber Eats drivers, because most don't get over 2,000. And you'll probably be hitting 4,000 pretty soon. You'll probably be in the closer to like the top 8%.
Oh, I'm sorry. Look at me. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm a 3,300 and a 97. And, of course, a great quote of mine, Elijah, the quote that you have to put a quote, right? You like that. You would like that. That's a quote you would like, right?
Yeah. And people actually can look at your profiles. Like that started as an Uber X thing, and then they gave it to Uber Eats. So take advantage of it. You can crack a joke and make someone's day. They laugh real quick. They just might add a little extra something on the tip.
No doubt, no doubt. So, man, it's been a real pleasure. I hope you'll have me on again. I think I can bring a lot to, uh, you know, giving you questions and feedback, and hopefully we got to everybody that had some. I know usually you have more, but maybe they didn't want to listen to me talk. But I think you covered most of the stuff that I started to jot down. And if you do have me back, I'll take some notes and be more prepared next time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we'll be looking at doing these on a monthly basis and just giving you guys value. But speaking of value, it's about time for me to actually get out there. So we're gonna go ahead and cut the podcast, not podcast. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up. But I'll wrap up by saying that everyone, even though Postmates is going away in terms of drivers, there's less options. Don't get discouraged by that, and just remember that the real key to the gig economy and making that money is really to master these apps one at a time. If you're gonna multi-app, at least master the one you're on. And if you're not making between, I want to say this time around above like $20 an hour, and at the very least like around like 13 or 14 on a bad day, that means it's time to master that app more. Look into some tactics you can do to increase your earnings. And once you get that, then maybe move on to a backup app or a secondary app. And with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and cut loose. Let you guys get out, you guys and girls get out there and make that money. Same applies to myself, and make sure y'all take your mothers out to have a fun Mother's Day tomorrow. And I appreciate you joining us, Ramen.
Thanks a lot, Elijah. I'll stay on with you and talk to you for a second and say goodbye after you sign off of StreamYard. It'll keep us right on here.
Right. I got to do the outro, but we'll
Oh,
definitely
okay.
yeah, we'll definitely be in touch because you're pretty knowledgeable, and you give a perspective that's going on in California. That's one thing I can't give because the environment is a little different down there.
Yeah, you're good with those graphics. Love to see that outro.
All right. So let's go ahead and play that outro, and y'all get out there. Well, I'm thinking of financial anatomy. I always say get out there, take control of your financial destiny. But remember, the world is literally in the palm of your hands when it comes to the app lifestyle. Y'all get out there and make that money.